The difference in a Marine Force Recon, a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, a Ranger, it's a different culture.
Welcome to Mindset Lessons from the Field. I'm Gina Casassa, the author of the upcoming memoir, Training with the SEAL. Today's guest is the definition of mental toughness. He's a retired U.S. Army Special Forces Master Sergeant with 25 years of elite experience. Ranger, Night Stalker, Green Beret. Oh my goodness, he's been in the heart of global conflict, surviving and thriving through some of the toughest conditions on Earth. Since retiring, he's become a writer, working on his memoir with Pulitzer Prize winner Nick Childs, and has taken on a whole new battlefield, Hollywood. From mayor of Kingstown to Civil War, he has proved that the mission never ends. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to introduce this guest, Ren Ligon. Ren, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Gina, for having me. Means a lot, actually.
I am so excited because you're like in my realm of writer, actor, been there, right?
Right.
That's a battlefield, which we'll talk about. But, you know, we had some Night Stalkers on the show. We had some Green Berets. I don't think we've had a Ranger. I don't think I've had a Ranger on the show. I was supposed to, bailed. But that's okay. That happens. So I want to start there only because it's something different, you know. Also, you know what? No, I lied. Back up. I want to know what makes someone do all three. I mean, Ranger, Night Stalker, Green Beret. I mean, all elite areas. How did that happen?
It was a journey. It was a journey. So
we have time. Go ahead.
Like initially when I joined the Army, and I was like, hey, I went to the recruiter station. I said, I want to be an airborne ranger. I had no idea what an airborne ranger was. It's just one of my cousins had joined the military, and he's like, Ren, you know, you're an athlete. You know, you played a little bit of college football. You're a great set for this group of guys. So when I joined, my recruiter actually told me to be a 92 Yankee, which is a unit supply specialist. I was like, I'm going to be supply? What is that? What do they do? What does that entail? He basically lured me in. He's like, hey, you'll be an arms room guy. However, you still can make it to the Ranger Battalion. I didn't think no biggie of it. So I went to 1st Ranger Battalion down in Savannah, Georgia, Charlie Company 175, where I was the supply clerk who ended up going to Ranger School. And after about 3 years in the Ranger Battalion, I was like, I could actually go somewhere else. Why not be a Night Stalker? I'm a supply guy. And I walked over and I interviewed with 3160, which also is located in Hunter Army Airfield, Savannah, Georgia. Walked into the Sergeant Major, just cold call. Hey, Sergeant Major, I'm Ren Ligon. I'm an E5. I'm in the Ranger Battalion. I want to be in your unit. I received some severe butt chewings in my career. That one right there was up there because I didn't know that you don't just walk into somebody else's office and say you want a job in another unit. I didn't know that part. That was the details, the fine details. So my Sergeant Major in the Ranger Battalion was like, hey, man, you've done a good job here. You know, you do 3 years as supply dude. It just makes sense for you to kind of move around, you know, just for your own career path. So I went to 160th. I was in 160 for a couple years.
Wow.
So, yeah,
and then came Green Beret.
Yep. I was in 160th and we were supporting a special forces unit at one of our training exercises. And I just had the opportunity to sit down and talk with a couple Green Berets. And they were like, all you can do is try. So I went to selection and became a Green Beret.
How old were you when you went to selection?
25.
Okay. Oh my God. My gosh, by 25, Ranger, Night Stalker, selection of Green Beret. Wow, what a resume. So what was your most challenging? Did they each have their own challenges or did you find one that topped them all?
Each individual challenge was different because, like, you know, in the Ranger Battalion, you're 19 and it's more of a bravado. Hey, the toughest guys up front, you know, we're going to fight in the sawdust pit. When I went to 160th, it's almost like it was a level of pilot elegance, if you would. It's more of a gentleman unit as opposed to kick down the door, let's go to war after it. That was unique coming from rah, 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 high strung Ranger Battalion, kill them all, let God sort them out. To 160th was like, hey man, Night Stalkers plus or minus 30 seconds.
Yeah, plus or minus 30 seconds. Yeah.
You learn to be on time everywhere. That's cinema. It's the deal with
It's
that.
like ingrained in you guys. And it's just so funny because, we had Night Stalker, Josh Martin on the show recently where he mentioned, we've had a couple of Night Stalkers, but he's the first one that mentioned like plus or minus 30 seconds. But if you're early, you still failed the mission because it's
Correct.
like you're not supposed to be early.
Not supposed to be here.
It's like, wow, what a window right there, right?
It's 30 seconds. It is.
I think about you guys sometimes when I might be running late or on time, and I'm like, oh, I failed that mission.
Let's say something, yeah. Gina, people are going to talk. They're going to talk. Like, oh. I swear it was at 1:01 when I got there. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like you were late.
Yeah.
12:59. You're a little too early.
Yeah. So how was Green Beret selection for you? What was the difference between Ranger and Night Stalker? And I mean, you said the difference between those two, but now what was it being with that group?
Now going to Special Forces, like the selection process of it, you go to an ugly place. It is an ugly place. Those simple 30 days, typically like for SF selection, you show up with 300 studs. I mean, these dudes are the, best physically fit, education-wise, smart, high GT scores. You hope things like you don't twist your ankle, things you don't think of. You can't train for a twisted ankle.
Right.
You can't train for a sprained wrist. Well, those are the things that you're like, if you're on a 12-mile foot march, and you sprain your ankle mile 2, let's just say you're probably not going to finish this.
Yeah.
And
that's like an act of God right there. Like that's just something that's, it's just like, what are you going to do? As opposed to you getting yourself out or you failing out,
Correct.
We those have are a little bit more in your control,
There's 2 types of Green Berets.
Yeah.
One with the story, one with the tab. The guy with the story said, man, I thought about going Special Forces, or I went Special Forces, they screwed me over, or I was there and I twisted my ankle. Well, did you go back? No, I didn't go back because my wife didn't want me to go back. And, I got a kid, and it's just things that you just don't hear from a Green Beret because we have children. We walk through that twisted ankle. I'd sprained my wrist before too. It's a level of how much can you just basically suck it up?
Yes.
So,
I do think that yes, I get the whole sucking up. And then I also think that some of it's a little extreme. Like there was this one guy on the show who's a former Marine/Navy SEAL. And he went into Hell Week with a broken hip, I think it was. A broken bone, something down below. I think it was a hip or something like that. And I'm just like, oh my God. Now he could have rolled over and just been like, let me fix my hip, and then went back. But he was just like, no, I'm going to go right into it. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And there's just that different level of extreme. And the thing though is that like, it's funny because people say, arrogance and Special Force and all stuff. It's like, well, you're going into death. You could be dying to any second, right? You're going into battle. There needs to be a level of arrogance. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's like kind of for myself when, oh, this is good for you. You're an actor. You get it. There's a delusional confidence actors have.
You have to have it. You have to have the audacity.
You have to have that, and you get it in that you got that mindset. And I want to know, I didn't think we were going to get this early on into the interview talking about this, but like, how does the mindset of what you've been through in your 25 years of experience in Special Forces to then moving into Hollywood?
My initial leap into Hollywood was stunts. It made sense. Hey, I'm going to get on. I'm a stunt man. I can climb a wall. I can swing on the rope. I can swim. I can do all the things.
Yeah, no fear.
So getting in that way was not easy, but just, because when you're in the stunt community, everybody claims the same thing. Being a Special Forces guy, coming into the stunt community, whenever anybody complains, I just can't respond. I want to say, suck it up, Buttercup. But you don't want to be that guy. These are actors around, and it's like, hey, guy, we're here to do something totally different. So more times than not, like pushing as far as actor, do you have the look? Are you what we're looking for? I understand you can read some words on paper. The Ranger Creed, recognize not volunteered as a Ranger. Like, we have to recite a lot of things along the way. So the memorization portion of it is simple. I think that being a Green Beret prepared me better for being an actor, simply because you're responsible to go to another country, foreign land, train other guys, and you got to have the audacity, the confidence. And me as a 7th group guy, it's going to be in Spanish. So going from there, just that transition, it's hard to get in front of the right guy to do your thing. That's more challenging, because the one great thing about the Army, there's a selection process. Hey, you're going to do this 30 days. Here's your task condition and standards. You want to be a Ranger, you got to be able to do, these 20 tasks. As an actor, it's like, I just don't like him. I just don't like his look, or maybe he's too arrogant or not arrogant enough. And that's one of the things that I've had the problem with, because like initially it was like, don't tell everybody that you're special forces. I told one guy I was special forces on a movie set. His initial response was, we were working on Emmett Till. I said, yeah, man, I'm a retired Green Beret. And he was like, you could kill everybody here. I was like, let's not lead with that. No, that is not why I'm here. It's like, you can kill everybody. I'm like, I shouldn't have told you. I should not have told you. So it's that weird space. It is. It's definitely a weird transition, because before, you want a Green Beret. Like, hey, man, we're going to a country X to go find some bad guys. You're like, well, bring all the Green Berets with me. Movie sets, it's like, he thinks he's all of that because he's a Green Beret, or he thinks he's better, or hey, stop telling people that because it's intimidating to some. Hey, Ren, you're a weapons expert. I'm like, yeah, I could. I mean, you guys seen John Wick? Right. It's par for the course. We all have a level of weapons expertise. However, they didn't hire me for weapons. So I can't go over there and can't just add on to that. So it's kind of a picking my lane, if you would.
It's interesting. We had Navy SEAL David Charbonnet on the show, and his dad was also on the show. Mike Charbonnet, he was also a Navy SEAL. And David mentioned when he was a kid, he would just watch his dad and with admiration on the fact that he didn't care. Like, he would just do or say things, and just like he had this confidence about him, right? Mm-hmm. And when he became a Navy SEAL, he said, well, before that, when he was in BUDS, he said there came a point where you don't care about all the humiliation that you're going through. It's just like all of that goes out, all the judgment, all that stuff, like, just goes out, right? And yep. I think that you have that level up compared to other actors that are just starting in the business, because that judgment, and I have a very good friend that was a Green Beret as well, and he was like, it's just I'm not going to say what he said, but it's I'm trying to think of the polite way to say what he said, but it's
kicking the junk.
It's a measuring contest, Yes. It's a measuring contest, and everywhere that you go, like every platoon you're in, the team that you have, all that stuff, like everyone calls you out on everything. Like, you get to know yourself and all these things about you that you then have to just like accept and be comfortable with, because they're making fun of you all the time and all this other stuff. And I just feel like we are not the civilians. The world today, especially with the keyboard warriors, like, we're not ready for that. And I remember being an actor. I remember auditioning for a role. I think I was like 25, and I would get people always thought I was a child. I was like under the age of 18, right? I remember I was working on Dancing with the Stars, and they thought I was somebody's daughter. Like, it was like, bring your daughter to work day, right? And I remember going in for a role. I forgot what it was, but the person was like 20, and I was 25 at the time. And I remember the casting director was like, "Really? You like?" Now this was like a friend of mine told me what the casting director said, but they were like, "Really? She thinks she could do this line, this role with those frown lines?" And, and I was just like, "Oh, I didn't even realize that they were, and they."
I
But
had
it's
that.
just so funny because it's so direct, it's so in your face. Now, what do you? How does one prepare for things like that? Like, what was it like for you to realize that it is a measuring contest, and how do you? Like, how do you get into a mindset like that of just like people are just, saying things about you on the, throughout it?
You have to keep your ego in check. Your ego will be your demise. In special forces, as soon as you say, I'm better than anybody, somebody's going to walk in the room and be better than it just is. Like for special forces, the first 30 days, if you would, for the selection process. But as a special forces guy, you're gauged every day throughout your career. You can't afford to have 2 bad days. If you have 2 bad days, they're probably going to ask you to leave. Using that to mold into the actor space. So when you tell me no, I'm not your pick, I have no ego. It's one of those things like I felt like I really nailed that. But camera don't lie. Camera don't lie. As much as you feel like you had everything intact, your movements, you didn't have the frown lines. You weren't saying your lines like this, And it's like, man, I didn't know that you guys were looking at that much of just being an actor, just that judgment. And special forces we have what's called peers. So you're going through with 12 guys. They do the peers in Ranger School also. 12 guys, you get voted off the island. Like if you're the weakest link out of us 12, they'll be like, yeah, hey, Ren, you were good the first 18 days. You were our guy. Day 19, day 20, we're probably going to peer you, man. Because we're truly here to, like you saying, like it's a measuring contest. Whatever ruler you want to use, it is always a measuring contest. So, and I see that same thing with actors.
Oh yeah. Oh
And it's
gosh,
like,
yeah. Or what about like the actors that I just remember this from working on Dance with the Stars, like that they just start out and then all of a sudden they get like this fan base and they get really big and then they change. It's very interesting to watch. I've worked for some very, very big people. Like I ran Penny Marshall's company, and then I got the opportunity to work alongside Ralph Macchio, and I worked as his assistant for something. And two very different people. I mean, Penny like paved the way for women. She was the first woman director to ever hit $100 million in the box office, and she did it twice. She's Hollywood royalty. Everyone wanted to kiss her ring. Everybody. I'll never forget when we were like, I'll never forget this. We were driving on Paramount, and the driver was like, my dad worked on Laverne and Shirley or something like that. And like, I would get to go and watch some stuff and watch you. And, he was just saying how much he admired her. Right.
right.
And she just like turned to look at him and was like, can you drive any faster? I could walk faster than this. And I was just like, and I'm like, oh gosh,
Okay,
I'm so
we're
sorry.
here.
That's just her. Like, that's just her. Like, that's just who she is.
Yeah.
And yet, like, Ralph was just a totally different vibe. Like, he was just so chill and grateful and thankful for everybody and just like nice. And it was just like, it's just interesting. But the thing is that they're both extremely successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can't take any flowers away from either aspect of either one.
It's just interesting though on the people that, that get it and that get ahead and that get, that, up there, and then what they're like, because again, you're also working with so many different egos, but you're also working with so many different egos in special forces as well. I mean, you kind of, a lot of testosterone. I actually am curious. Actually, this just came to me. I'm just curious. I'm going to sidetrack real quick. What do you feel like the movies get wrong about special forces? And what do you think they get right? I'm just curious on either one.
Short answer, they don't use Green Berets. First thing, because like the difference in a Marine Force Recon, a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, a Ranger. It's a different culture. It was a different culture when I was in the Ranger Battalion.
Can you tell us about the difference? Since you did 3 different cultures, can you tell us the difference between each culture?
Yeah, the Ranger Battalion culture is super aggressive, testosterone driven. So when you're around Rangers, it's more, hey, you, beep, beep, beep. You know what I mean? And it's, hey, you better get over here.
That kind of reminds me of Major Payne, right?
Exactly. That's the Ranger Battalion. That's one Tubby. That is, yes, that's the Ranger Battalion. I'm going to bury you up to your neck and spray you with a water hose.
Yeah.
Major Payne.
They do
Ranger
that?
Battalion.
My goodness.
Different culture. So when I see Ranger movies, Black Hawk Down, things of that nature, when they use actual Rangers in it, you see the culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, here's my safety. It's a culture. It's like, no, I'm accustomed to doing this so much. What they get wrong with movies, it's like, as we fast forward from, the Black Hawk Down and things of that nature, and we go to, hey, I want to be, there's a show coming up. Jonathan Majors is scheduled to be a Green Beret on a film coming up. He put it out on stunt listing. Hey, here's this, that, and other. And I looked at it and I said, a black Green Beret on TV. Who is he going to get his culture from? Because if you hire a white Navy SEAL, he doesn't know the culture that a black Green Beret went through being a black Green Beret. It's a minority on a different aspect of it. Because it's not like special forces, like it's not racist. It's just everybody doesn't like the same rap music I like. You know what I mean? It's not hey man, Toby Keith, killing the game. Don't have a lot of downloads from Toby. I just don't, and it's just that. But when it comes to mission time, we're all on the same accord.
Right.
And that's what Hollywood gets wrong. It's like, you want to make a drug addiction movie. Okay. Hey, I'm a drug addict. We should probably hire a drug addict, a recovering drug addict, to tell some of the culture of a drug addict. One of Samuel's first roles, he came, I want to say he came like out of rehab, and Spike Lee hired him on not Do the Right Thing. I can't remember. Anyway, it was years ago. But Samuel was like, literally, I was coming out of rehab and Spike Lee asked me to play a drug addict. He nailed it. Fun fact, I pointed a shotgun at Samuel Jackson on Fight Night.
No way.
With Kevin Hart, Taraji P. Henson, Terrence Howard. And I was one of Terrence Howard's goons. Pointed up and was like, he just gave me a little nod and I pointed a shotgun at Samuel Jackson. After he said cut, he came by and he said, I ain't gonna forget you pointing that shotgun at me. So yeah, but it's the culture. Hey, Ren, we want you to be a goon, jump out of a car, rack a shotgun. Okay, well, I can be a goon. I can jump out of a car. I know exactly how to work a shotgun. It's so much easier to hire a me, if you would, as opposed to saying, you ever racked a shotgun? Have you ever driven a car that was built in 1968? Can you look tough? Can you give that persona of a bad guy? Well, in the special forces, we learn that. We learn just that little bit of, hey man, I will kick you in here. Just, it's a level of intensity that a lot of times when I'm on set, I don't see that given to a lot of actors, to where it's like, well, that's my stunt double, but the stunt double is just here to fall down for you. He's not going to teach you the culture of a Green Beret.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yes, the culture. That's the one thing that we get wrong all the time. Good movie.
Right.
Good movie. Entertaining, especially to the unknowing. It's like, oh wow, man, that was pretty intense. But for like military folks that know it, it's like that really wouldn't happen.
Well, it's funny. It's the same thing in terms of like doctor shows and things like that. They're like, well, no,
right.
Like,
hire a doctor to at least stand next to him and say, this is what I would actually say right here.
It's interesting because like in a way it's like, yeah, you're right. It's entertaining, right? And that's really what it is. Like it's funny because I work in Hollywood and so ironic, I don't watch TV like at all. I don't watch TV. And to me, I'm just like, I really need to be like wanting to check out in order to watch TV, to give 2 hours of my time to a TV when I have other things to do, like life to live, right? And
Yeah.
And yet when I sit down to watch TV, like I just want to check out. Like I just want to be entertained. Don't make me think.
I
Don't
want to
make me the
laugh.
reason why I'm sitting down is because I have decision fatigue. I'm tired, okay? Don't make me think. Don't make me question things. Figure things out. Just entertain me, make me laugh or not or whatever I'm in the mood for. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like that's what it is. But then there's other people that are like I'm talking TV, movie lovers, and they want a real experience. They want to be so connected to the story, to the characters. They want to sit down and feel like they're living through them. And I think that there's so much magic that the entertainment world gives us. But I also feel like, there's a lot that we don't take time to study. Right?
Agreed.
That's really what it comes down to,
Me being an actor now, I went back into my student mode,
Mhm.
if you would. Like, it's
Tell
like,
us about that. Tell us about that mode.
so I don't know what I don't know. So
Mhm.
in that student mode, it's like I would do it like this. However, the director probably wanted to see something different to, one, appeal to the camera, appeal to the masses, the people that's looking to consume this product. And it's like, hey, I would actually do it like this. And they're like, hey, Ren, it's a good idea. We didn't ask you. Okay. Everywhere else I've been, military wise, whatever, I was always a subject matter expert. It's like, hey, whatever's going down, ask Ren. Why? I'm a master sergeant. I've been around the block a couple times. I know the Afghanistan, Iraq, the Colombia, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Movie set, a guy was going to Colombia to film a Narcos film. And I said, hey, here's my resume. Here's my bio. Here's my headshot, my reading points. And he was like, yeah, but we're not going to use you. So it was like, okay, why not? Afterwards, you come to find out, it's like, well, Ren, you came off a little aggressive. They didn't
Do you
want.
find that? Do you find that a lot? Because the military world, you are aggressive. You got to
You
be
have to
aggressive,
be
right? You
aggressive.
have to be aggressive, right? It's just that's the environment that you survive in, right? And thrive in, right? I mean, it's life or
Absolutely.
death, right? People are shooting at you. Civilian world,
Correct.
not that serious, right? Hollywood
Mhm.
sometimes likes to think things are serious. And I always used to say that. I'm like, we're not saving lives right now. Like, back it up. But do you find that your aggression just is a turn off to people? And then what are you doing now? Because how long have you been doing this, the acting thing?
Pretty much about 5 or 6 years now.
So is there a shift that you've had to make within yourself to, you know, I guess, you know, live into this new culture and environment that you're now in?
Yes. Because now,
Tell us about that. Tell us about that shift.
so the shift in it is, Army, you walk in the door, you understand a problem set, everybody all hands. Everybody
Mhm.
put your hands in it, whatever it is. We're building a bridge, everybody grab a brick, we're doing this together. When you see somebody not working as hard as you are in the military, you're pointing a finger like, and you're not saying it like movies. So the shift from being, military, special forces, government contracting, coming into acting, I'm trying to learn how to care about people's feelings more. That is the
I
shift. Hey
love
man, we all
that.
saw you just screw
That
that up,
is
man.
amazing. I love that. And here's the thing. I have he's been on the show a couple of times. He coaches special forces. Randy Weitenheimer, and I was with somebody that was one of his students. He was a Green Beret.
Okay.
And I'm like, I tell him all the time, just like for myself, it's like because I'm like, he's just so uncaring when I'm talking about something, and he goes, I tell him all the time, I'm like, sometimes you just got to pretend to care. He's like, people want you to pretend to care. And then I've started to learn as I've been working with him, kind of emotions kind of get pulled out of it. Like, and you just are more like this, right? And I realize I find myself like stepping back and being like, Gina, these are one of those moments where you have to care about this or to act like you're caring,
Yeah.
because also we live in a
Oh my
victim
gosh,
world.
Gina, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
What are we talking about right now?
It's also because we live in such a victim world where people get more upset when you don't care about a problem that they're going through versus, yeah,
It's like,
you
hey man, this
know?
is on y'all. I didn't have anything to
Yes.
do with this.
Right. And
That sounds like a you
but
thought.
I like it's funny. I talked to a friend of mine a while ago back in January when that month was a little rough, and he's like, "What's going on?" And I've said all these things, and everything I said that to somebody else would be like, "I'm so sorry. Oh my God, that's terrible." And he was like, "That's great. Good. What's next? What are you doing next?" And that's the people I want to surround myself with. But I realize that people, especially in the and entertainment world, because
Mhm.
it's all look at me, look at me, look at me. That's what it is. It's look at me, look at me, look at me. That they're putting all their problems online and they want you to say, woe is me, and you don't have time for that.
I just don't.
You don't.
I would love to sit here and spend the next 5 hours of my life hearing about how your cat just died. I don't have a cat. I don't really care for cats. Sorry, can I even say that now? Hey, I don't like cats. Ren don't like cats. I'm like, yeah, but in the actor space, hey, we don't bring that up because the director, he or she loves cats, had a cat die. Ren, this is one of those moments where you come to set and you just act like you care. So everybody's
Yeah.
walking a little eggshelly. Why does everybody seem nervous on set today? Well, the director's mad because his cat died. You know what somebody would have told me if my dog died when I was in SF? Get another dog. Get another dog, man.
Totally different culture, right? Totally
It's the
different
culture.
world.
Get another dog, man.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, you tell that to somebody and they're offended. They're very offended, but it's like, but this is just my reality of where I've come from.
Correct. And then too, my my childhood, if you would, my growing up, my growing pains. I grew up inner city, Dayton, Ohio, understanding the inner city pressures of just being a black kid in the projects. So when I'm on a movie set, I can relate all the way back to being a child and playing, cowboys and Indians and running through the woods and skipping rocks and hey, you're my new girlfriend. That's awesome. We're 12. We're in love. We're getting married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that. And now fast forward to this life, and I'm like, you guys are really worried about something that's completely irrelevant. To your point, Gina, it's like nobody's shooting at us. They're going to say cut. I promise you. You'll be able to say that again. Just get in it. And it's like working on a project. Hey, Ren, we want you to be goon number 4, right? Mayor of Kingstown, you're going to be a Crip. Okay. I went over, talked to a couple guys that were there, some background guys or whatever. I met one dude that was actually a former gang member, just there for BG. And I walked up to him and he was like, yeah, man, I'm actually a blood. I was like, I'm actually an actor. However, I have questions. You know what I mean? I have questions. So
I have questions. Oh my gosh. Like,
right. I'm like, I'm actually an actor. We're going to fake fight this guy right around the corner. I promise you, none of this is real. This ain't even really a prison, man. This is not that. But, and just being able to having the audacity to walk up to a gang member and ask him how I can be a better gang member. What's the culture of a gang? I don't know. I was in the Army. We'll drop a bomb on you, bro. That's our culture. Drones. That's our culture. Have you heard of drones? Yes, that's our culture. Why would you fight this dude over this street and y'all fighting over this thing right here? Explain. So
I love, first of all, one of my favorite things is listening to people's stories. I think one of the reasons why I really enjoyed this podcast because I connect to people like you and I get to hear your stories. And I feel like all of us have our own story and that story is meant to be told, right? And this is a really good segue into working with Nick Childs because you're working on your memoir, which is really like what you're leaving a legacy behind when you're writing a memoir and things like that. That's a part of you that's going to live on, right?
correct.
What is it like working with Nick? How did you guys connect? And tell us more about this memoir. When do you think it's going to be coming out? What message do you hope readers are going to walk away from this? Share this. Tell us this part of your life.
Friend of a friend introduced me to Nick Childs. Hey, Ren, I heard your story. Kid from Dayton, Ohio, lived in Los Angeles. You were homeless? What? I'm like, yeah, everybody's homeless at least once. That's not the story. That's not the point that I want to get across. So I met him and sat down with him. He is the professor of journalism at the University of Georgia. He came by my house. We sat down and he, basically it was two guys having a genuine conversation. He's like, hey, yeah, I graduated from Yale, Ren. I don't really know the culture. To an outsider looking in, it's just two black guys sitting at a coffee table. That's it. Nobody knew that I was a Green Beret or he was a Pulitzer Prize winning writer. You know what I mean? You just don't know. Don't judge a book by its cover. And talking with the memoir, telling him like some of the adverse things that I went through like as a child. Oh man, it was terrible. We were little kids in California. We were homeless. We lived in a van, myself, my two siblings, my mom and my stepdad. That only prepared me to live better on an ODA because I know how to gel in small teams. I can live in a small space. I understand that, hey, pick your stuff up. If not, we're going to throw it away. When I was telling him that aspect of it, he was like, so wait a minute. Homeless in California, grew up in Dayton. You were in the welfare office when you joined the Army? I'm like, yeah, I was in the welfare office waiting on a welfare ID. I had just flunked out of college. Yeah, I flunked all the way out. Yeah, that was a me moment. Flunked out of college, came home and found out that my mom had signed me up for welfare so I could get aid while I was in, the starving college student, as we've all heard the story. But I played sports, so I didn't have time for that part-time job. He was blown away by that. He was like, so you went down to get a welfare ID and you just decided to be an airborne ranger that day? I'm like, yeah, that day. He's like, with that memoir, it's like the adversity that we go through in life, as opposed to saying, woe is me, I'm poor, it was, okay, how can I fix this? What did you learn? Where are we going from here? And I think that the takeaway for my memoir, just my memoir specifically, I got a Pulitzer Prize winner putting the ink to paper, and I'm not telling stories about, I was in a gunfight, it was me against 200 Taliban. We've heard that story. We've heard that story. We've been hearing it for 25 years. There I was, no lie, blood and guts. I'm like, no, I was in the welfare line, bro. This was crazy. That was crazy, Yeah. And now, the same kid that lived in a vehicle as a child for a little bit, did some homeless time in high school for a little bit, became an actor. Come on. Nobody's going to believe that. Nobody's going to believe it. It's like, but you were special forces. I was like, yeah, no, that was cool. That was before. This is what I'm doing now. And I want people to start living more in the present, to just kind of like, that's the takeaway I want from it. Like, be present. If you have food today, let's not dwell the fact that you didn't have food 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I heard you. Right now, we're eating steak. Let's enjoy this.
Yeah, I love that. I love the whole, again, we're not woe is me. We're not being the victim of our past, right? We're
Right.
moving forward, right, towards where we want to be and who we are and the moment. And also the story. I mean, like, you have an amazing, I mean, like we all have these amazing, incredible stories. And it sounds like a really fun, interesting book to read. And the tough childhood, the struggles. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure for yourself. I'm curious. Like for me, there was no tough childhood at all. And it was a very, I came from a very, in my opinion, it was a very privileged upbringing, very privileged.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yet I always had this I'm not going to quit mindset, like when I was going out for things and being rejected all the time, I still fought. I still went for things, and now I have this nonprofit. You're rejected all the time. You're always asking for things like, this happens, right? You just kind of move on,
Yeah.
right? You just move on.
Yeah.
For yourself, what was the mindset that you developed as a child that you feel like really helped shape you to, because the special forces, you're like 0.1% of 1%. Okay. That's a very slim number,
That's a
right?
very true statement.
And then making it in the acting world is a very, very slim as well, right? It's rejection after rejection after rejection. And and unlike the service, which like you said earlier, you know what you got to do. Okay, if I want to go here, I got to pass this and go to this, and then this happens. Where in the acting world, it's so nonlinear, right? Anything can happen at any time. I mean, you could meet somebody tomorrow that could just change your life, right? And like anything could happen. So what is the mindset shift that you have today that you feel like you developed maybe early on that's really served you?
3 minutes can change your life. Just that quick time, like you were saying, like if you meet the right person or say the right line or go to the right coffee stand and spend 3 minutes of communication in the acting world with the right person,
Mm-hmm.
that person likes you, you'll be rich forever. Can you imagine if like Adam Sandler and I were friends? I would be very rich right now, just because I would be on every Adam Sandler project.
Right. Yeah, he's good like
We
that.
work well together. We do that. Nothing lasts forever, good or bad. If
Mhm.
you're going through something terrible, sit down and just meditate on it for about 3 minutes, but don't give it an hour. Don't give it 24 hours. Give it that hard 90 seconds and find out what did you have to do with this problem? Because somewhere in there, I bet you can find out you created it. Somewhere in there, you had a hand in it, good or bad. I try to start my morning off with the good. I do, to kind of keep that mindset like, hey, the rejection over and over and over. It's like trying to get a prom date. I've asked every girl in this school, and just it's one girl out there for me, and that's just the way I live. That's how I believe that life is. It's just 3 minutes at a time. If you can function in that, it'll work.
So for our listeners on the show that might be a little scared to put themselves out there, right? And I even think like I actually even think for myself, like I am constantly putting myself out. I'm constantly asking a lot of times. Like right now we have this donation box,
Mm-hmm.
and just going up to a business and being like, "Hey, can you please put this on the counter?" It's easy, to say. But for some reason, sometimes you just tend to stop yourself. And you're like, "Oh, they're not going to do." You stop yourself before you're going to go, right? Eventually you just go and you do it. Well, for myself, I just do it, right? I have to stop the brain part of me that's job is to keep me safe, because that's constantly going, and I have to stop and not listen to that and just go, hey, I'm passing this business. I don't care what's going to happen. We're just going to go and ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have for somebody that is scared of rejection, or that is, how can they just take one step to get, not like get, I mean, like to help them move forward, and not allow rejection to paralyze them?
To the listeners, right? To the fan base. In the morning when you brush your teeth, tell yourself you are the most amazing person in today's equation. Everybody brush your teeth in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror. Most people, they brush their teeth and they lean over and they spit in the sink. Look at yourself. What are you projecting to the world today? I'll tell myself, you're the most amazing guy in the equation. What's the equation? It don't matter. If it's me against 100, they screwed up. And then when people, that rejection, or me walking up there asking for that donation, like, hey, $5 works, $2 works. $1 million would be better. But we could start, you know what I mean? But we could start with that 2 to 5. So it's just like, I truly feel like that. I feel like if we really put more self-worth into me, as opposed to what Gina's going to think about me, or Sam's going to think about me, or John's going to think about me. It's like, I feel like I kind of got my stuff together today. Teeth are good, smelling clean, took a shower, put on a good shirt.
Yeah.
Every day is an interview.
Every day is an interview. Oh my God, I have to say that again for the people listening. Every day is an interview. I love that. Yeah.
That's like, I want to be your friend, but I'm going to interview you before you become my friend.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were, I don't know, something happened. You know how people go and you just go to say something. They're like, hey, no judgment, no judgment. And I'm like, We're all judging. In
We're
the
all
back of your mind,
judging.
it's happening. What do you mean no judgment? Like you're secretly judging in the back of your mind when I'm sharing something that's just like, what? You might be like, oh, that's cool. But in your brain, you're like, oh my God, like everything's an interview. But at the same time, you have to be comfortable with you because guess what? There's 8 billion people in the world. Not everybody's going to like you. And nobody in the world owes you anything. They don't have to like you, and you have to, but the thing is you have to like you, right? And I love the fact that you know, talk to yourself or say something
I say
positive
it
to
out loud
you
too.
and you say it out loud. I think that's amazing. And is there a mindset shift that makes a big difference in your life? Like, how did you even decide to do that? Like, what point in your life did you always do that, or how did that happen?
Younger, I didn't talk a lot. I actually didn't start talking until I was like 3 years old. It's crazy. So that followed me through. Now, like during all that time, I was intimidated by the conversations. I didn't want people to know I was poor. I didn't want them to know that I only had 3 pair of pants. You know what I mean? I didn't want them to know that, my little brother was handicapped. Oh man, your little brother handicapped? They're judging me because he's handicapped. I'm like, I didn't do that.
Right.
I'm here to take care of him, but I don't want you guys to realize how poor we are in this space. I was 19. I went to Cairo, Egypt for a mission. We jumped in there, airborne ranger ran, and I saw a pyramid. I saw the Sphinx. And right then I was like, I'm pretty dope. Like, this is pretty over the dangle. Y'all know I'm from Dayton, Ohio? Don't tell nobody. But right now I am looking at the Grand Pyramid, the Sphinx, and I'm seeing all this. And from there, it's like my mindset developed that I started loving people more than things. So it's like, I actually like people.
Yeah.
Like
I think people are fantastic.
I do too. I'm like,
I love people. Yeah.
I love people.
Yeah,
I
I
love
think
people.
it's funny when people are like, oh, like people, it's like, I feel like, well, you just don't get to, I think you're just too wrapped up in negatives, because I think people will surprise you. And I think that they're pretty amazing. And that's, like everyone has a story. And even those people that, my dad said this to me once with when I was younger. And I don't know if I was like, I must have like made a judgment about somebody that was either like, in prison or whatever. And my dad goes, it's somebody's kid. Keep that in mind. Somebody's kid.
That's somebody's kid.
Right. And when you say
Somebody's
that to yourself, you look at that person like they are a child and you go like, what was their childhood like? Did they not get enough hugs? Did they, like to end up there, And when you look at it that way as somebody's kid, you just throw love at people and you get to learn and know people. And I love your mindset for living. I love your mindset for the space that you're currently in and where you came from and all that stuff because it's inspiring. You have an incredible story that when is this memoir coming out? When are you thinking about it coming out? A year, 2 years?
Yeah, I would say probably a year, 2 years. Because
we're going to have to get you back on to talk about this.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Because it's like we started it and then COVID happened and then the writer's strike and then the actor's strike and then a lady, Laura Love, who was looking to do our publishing and pushing the book, and she landed a project that she started working on. So she was our legs. Like I'm the story, but she's the one that's gonna walk up and put that box on there and say, "Hey, donations for Ren to to get him out there." And I'm like, and I was like, Laura, we got a good thing. She agreed that we have a good thing, good story. And but when it came time to kind of push and launch it, we were kind of dead in the water. So now we just like over the last couple of weeks, actually, we just been trying to kind of get some more legs on it. And I told him, I said, 3 years ago, I wasn't where I am now in the acting space. I'm looking at roles now as opposed to before. I was just like, I hope I can be a background on Ozark.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, been there. Yeah.
And it was like, wow, man, you went from a background on Ozark to pointing a shotgun at Samuel Jackson in just 3 years. I'm like, yeah, I got my SAG card and everything. They're like, wait a minute. And I told Nick that. And I said, hey, Nick, so let me continue to put more legs on the book. This is going to be a New York Times bestseller. It is. The title of the book initially was Broken Toys, because we all everybody got a similar story. Because like you can grow up very affluent, but have parents that didn't raise you. Mm-hmm. You got a nanny, or you know what I mean? You didn't get hugs. You went to private schools and your friends were not really your friends. You know what I mean? And it's like, just to see like where we all managed to scrape our own place out. We have different injuries. We're different broken toys. We're different. We're the perfect flaw of life. Like I feel like that. Like I'm the perfect mistake. Like what's gonna happen? I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna screw up something, but I'm still going. And it's like we don't give ourselves that credit for arriving where we are.
Oh my God, I'm gonna say that line again. We don't give ourselves enough credit for arriving where we are. I mean, 100%. I mean, just seeing how far you come in a month, a year. A year is a short time, but you could do a lot. Like a lot can move within a year's time. For better or for worse. And I just think, I love the fact that you're still moving the needle. And I hope our listeners are understanding and getting that from what you're saying. Because it's like, okay, I was writing this book. We had legs. COVID hit, set us back. Other person working on it, got a new project. But I'm not giving up. It's coming out. Like it's coming out no matter what. And I am going to keep going with this, and I think that that's the whole point. It's like, no matter what the setback, I have a goal and I'm still going to move to that goal until I decide I want to move in a different direction. Otherwise, no matter what life throws at me, I am still going to move that way. And I think that that's a mindset within itself. And that's a very successful one. So I know that this book is going to come out. It's going to hit the New York Times bestseller. We're going to have you back on the show to talk about this and talk more about your book and also the writing process and things like that. Because I'm curious in terms of the discipline for someone like you who has the background that you have, and then going into a whole new career, a whole new endeavor.
Yes.
And
I didn't have an uncle in the business. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of guys are like, well, my cousin is in the business. I'm like, nah, this is me.
Yeah.
I moved to where I live at here in Georgia, in the Atlanta area. They said there's some movie studios, and literally I told my wife I was in Afghanistan. I was contracting. I said, Mama, build me a house close to here. I'm gonna meet some actors and I'm gonna become an actor. She was like, did you get blown up again? Like, are you sure about this? I was like, no, babe, that's what we're gonna do. We're on our way to Hollywood. I said, I'm gonna get an Oscar. She was like, okay, Oscar. So we flew to Los Angeles just this past year. We walked up to the Oscar stairs and I said, I'm gonna go up here and get an award.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Thrivers Coffee. Podcast guest Nick McKinley's company, Deliver Fund, brings you guys Thrivers Coffee. It is ethically sourced, it's organic, and it supports traffic survivors. That is right. Thrivers Coffee is all about empowering us to making a difference in the fight to end human trafficking. That's why 100% of the proceeds go directly towards their goal of bringing freedom to victims of human trafficking. So if you guys love coffee that is organic, ethically sourced, and tastes absolutely delicious, and want to help to end the fight of human trafficking, check out Nick McKinley's company, Thrivers Coffee. I love that you also knew where you wanted to go before you got there. It's like, I don't know, I could be wrong. Tell me, did that make the transition period easier for you because you knew where was next? Because 25 years is a long time to give and serve, and also an identity that you shaped for 25 years, right? You go into a whole new career path, and a lot of people before when they transition, sometimes they're forced to transition without a plan, right? And for you had a plan. Did that make it a bit easier for you to know like where you were going to go and what you wanted to do when you were getting out?
Yes. So for me, it was like, I'm going to do just 20 years. Once I get out, I'm going to go contracting because I didn't want to make sergeant major. I wasn't looking to extend in the military. And I felt like I could help the younger guys that's still going back to Afghanistan. Like, hey, man, I'll be there. I'm Ren Kenobi. I'm the old guy with the old lightsaber. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I was you before, but let me keep your legs. So like knowing that and going from that transition to film, I don't look at the first step. I put the goalpost way down there, and I'm okay with zigzagging to get there. But I know that the end zone is down there. That's why I said I'm going to have a New York Times bestselling book. How do you know that? Because I just said it. I don't
And
know
you're
the
taking
process because I've
steps
never
to
done
get
it.
there. You're taking the steps to get there. It's like I said it, and now I'm going to work backwards. I got the goal.
Yes.
I'm going it, and now I'm going to work backwards to get me there. And if I fall short, I fall short. But I'm taking those steps. I'm going there. I'm hitting that goal. In my mindset, and I'm not just thinking about it. I'm taking the steps to do it. And that's what's going to achieve it. And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget the fact that you got to do the work. Like you got to,
yes. And that's the ugly. Nobody
that's the
sees
part
that.
nobody talks about. They don't talk about that, That's what, for me, I always have this, like this, the word manifestation. Cause I'm like, we have to add in the whole, well, let's manifest. But people
Right.
think it's manifesting where we have to just visualize it and say it. But I'm like, but you got to take action towards it.
So
Right.
that twitch that you just did, kind of that little,
Yeah.
I have that same thing.
Yeah.
I do. And I'm like, let's get it, like, come on,
Yeah.
man. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Because we know what we want to do. We know where we got to get to. Some steps, man.
Yeah.
It's some
Yeah.
steps. I would love to be Ren Ligon, the billionaire actor, philanthropist. You know what I mean? I'm building wind tunnels. I got I'm putting water in Africa. Yeah, I'm doing. I would love to be there already.
Yeah.
Some steps. It's like, hey, people need water. I think that if when I get the platform of an actor, that's something I think is important. Like we should at least give kids water. So I know that winning an Oscar, I'll have the platform. People will listen because for some reason they listen to famous people.
They do. They have a lot of influence. I think people in general, I was listening to somebody the other day, like people in general have a lot of influence. Like when I was listening to this one guy talk and he sounded like he knew what he was talking about with smoking. And it was a positive, he was talking positively about it. And before people even did their research, it was like two people ended up trying smoking and this other person, like, because somebody said something in a positive way that sounded like intelligent and truthful. And we didn't do any research. We just go, oh, okay, that sounds right. And we're going to listen to that and move forward. Now, I do feel like doing research also is you need to test it out for yourself. Like I did, but the thing is, you need to do your research. Like I did a lot of research on carnivore before I decided to go carnivore. And then I went carnivore. Now, for me, it's not sustainable. Now, served me for a little bit, but it's not sustainable for myself where I do more animal based and I moved in that direction. However, I needed to test that out for myself, right? But I also did research before I just jumped into it. And I feel like a lot of times we're just to go, I'm just going to believe this one person that has 100,000 followers and they sound really smart and I'm going to move in that direction, instead of, because people do have influence. And I think the thing is that you don't need to have a platform to have influence. You have influence on the children in your life. You have influence on nieces, nephews. Like, so the thing is that who are you and what is your legacy that you want to leave behind for your children and for the people around you to be inspired by? And I'm going to ask that as a question for you. What do you feel for that?
I'm going to live forever. I'm going to live forever. So it's one of those things like knowing that I'm going to live forever, the influence that I put out, the hugs that I give my nieces and nephews, the vacations that I paid for, if you would, to let them know that, hey, when you get in a position to help somebody, you should just do it. you should just do it. Like, it's not hurting you. It's not hurting them. You're not robbing banks for money or anything like that. But they're helping the little old lady across the street. You know, the goodness in human, that's why I say I'm a live forever. Because, like, we all inherently have some good in us. So with the memoir and the action and then the movies and my legacy as I go forward, people are going to say, Ren Ligon, a kid from Dayton, Ohio, and he went forward, became a writer, actor, philanthropist, and now we can't keep him off of these motivational tours where he's talking to all these kids all over the place, telling them, hey, don't give up on your parents. They didn't give up on you. When you're a butthead kid, that's a reflection of you, not your parents. My mother used to say, rest in peace to Mom. She said, the older I get, the dumber I sound to you. And I didn't get that because I was being a screw up kid, not getting good grades in school, running with the wrong bunch. And she's like, you shouldn't do that. I wasn't giving her the best product of me. So my legacy is, if our children really start aspiring to be not so much more like their parents, but the initial cost of being better than their parents. Like, what I tell my son now, if you started off here, there's no room to go down. There's just no room to go down. You grew up in the house where your dad, I've never beat you, you always had dinner. You see me hug you, I hug Mom, I get yelled at. I'm a dad. It is what it is. But like, that's the legacy that I want to leave. I want to leave a legacy that people are not bad.
Right. I love that. The singer Alex Warren is releasing a song, but he's put a little some little chorus out, and it's a song for his parents, I believe. And the line is, it's your first time on earth too. And, it gives us grace to when we think about our parents, when we think about the people around us that are making mistakes and stuff, it's their first time on earth too, and yeah. And it really makes you have compassion for those around us, right? So for the final question on the show, because I know I kept you over an hour, I'm so sorry. You've been fantastic to talk to. What do you have for our listeners to help strengthen our mindset on a daily basis so we can handle the challenges that inevitably are going to come our way?
The cliche is never give up. I'm not going to say that. Meet people where they are. So when you start your day, if somebody is mean to you, be mean back to them. Somebody's nice to you, be nice back to them. Because a lot of times people will, hurt people. So as you get up each morning, you brush your teeth, look in that mirror. Whatever you're going to project today is going to be a great projection of you. You're amazing. You're God sent. And the biggest blessing that you could have is you woke up this morning. I feel like everything else is easy. The only thing I can't do is wake myself up. But throughout my day, plan your day a little better. If you just want to get up, if you say, hey, I'm going to the grocery store today, get up and go to the grocery store first thing in the morning. You'll leave yourself more time throughout your day. So you have more time to sit on the couch and watch me on a TV show.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on the show. You've been a real pleasure to talk with. You made it so easy for me. You're fantastic. Awesome. Love your story. And we're going to put some links to your stuff on in the show notes for everybody that wants to connect with Ren. Check him out, follow him, that's all in the show notes. And again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so very much for having me, Gina.
Of course. And everyone that's listening, please like, share, comment, subscribe, become a Substack member. It's all about our extra goodies that you get that only our Substack members get. It's a fun time over there. So come and join us. And I will see you guys all next week. Thank you so much.